punchline.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Bucket Think Tank. So let's review or pick up with an old favorite, an unfinished project 3 years ago. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. but yeah, it got away from me. So this was this question of, as we said, who should kill the Joker? And today we're discussing the man from Krypton, Superman. And he's part of the Trinity. He's one of, if not the best friend Batman has, that isn't part of the Bat family. So he's a good choice, but without injustice, I don't think people would tend to think of him as such, which I think is a bit unfair. Superman is the moral center of the DC universe. Like the whole DC universe, if you read Doomsday Clock, it kind of revolves around him. At the same time, though, even without that sort of meta level, he is a sort of the beacon of hope. Like, it's like a river and it flows and whatever. But he sets a standard. Even in, say, Infinite Crisis, Batman tells Superman, look, if you tell people to fight, they'll fight. He, in a lot of ways, is like Captain America in that aspect. But, right here, the comparison thing, we're here to talk about if he could kill the Joker. And let's sort of break this down a bit. Let's talk about Superman's stance on killing. Superman doesn't like doing it. Like, he rarely has killed in recent years for the most part. And if he has, it's usually some sort of circumstance around it. He can sort of like, like, that wasn't me, but I still feel bad about it. When I think about it, his position is there has to be another way. Same thing as Batman. The question is who digs their heels in more about it. I think that varies from book to book. But let's say, for example, when Wonder Woman kills Maxwell Lord. We talked about that when we discussed Wonder Woman should kill the Joker. And I also go with the whole sort of pragmatic idea that if there's no other way, Diana will do it. Nope, no hesitation. There we go. Wonder Woman is in a lot of ways like Avatar Kyoshi, and sort of how the fandom can sort of view her and not view her. Fandom Wonder Woman is like, yes, kill, kill, kill. But in reality, both Kyoshi and Diana are like, if there's no other way, if that's the best way to justice, yeah, they gotta go. And there's no real joy in it. There's no real laughter to it. For Superman, there is a sort of Aang Roku sort of vibe to it, and the fact that, life is precious. There's something to be said about the dignity of human life, which is something Superman strives for. We'll get to that in a second. But we're not here to do DC ATLA comparisons. That would be here all day. But when Diana kills Maxwell Lord, Superman is freed from that control. He's sort of like, you murdered him. There had to be another way. Like, you don't just murder people. Even to save himself, he's not a fan of taking the life of other people. Though he has killed, there is Cyborg Superman in the Death of Superman and Reign of the Superman storyline. There is killing General Zod. General Zod is one of the few people Superman has killed, not just in the comics, but also in the movies, like in both Dawn of Superman and, of course, in Zack Snyder's Superman. Zod has been killed. Like, it just happens, alright? Technically, has Zod been killed in an animated movie? If he does, Zod will be one of the few characters Superman has killed across every every medium. Yeah, I think so. And then, for some reason, evil Superman loves killing Green Arrow. Like, but for the most part, Superman is not a fan of killing. It's just like, no, there has to be another way. And a good example of this is, of course, in Whatever Happened to Truth, Justice, and the American Way, or Superman vs. the Elite, if you're a fan of the movie. And this one, Superman is sort of seeing, Superman sort of shows like, hey, look, terrorists, criminals, murderers, they do not get to be killed. Okay, they had to be stopped and brought to justice, and that is fine. The Elite brings a sort of counterculture to it, the idea that, that's not enough, you have to do more, and the Elite have an effect on people. Superman sees a bunch of kids who want to grow up to be the elites and kill bad guys. There's no attempt to make a change. There's no attempt to do anything that a hero is supposed to do. Alright? In reality, I think Superman sort of views that the difference between what he does and what, say, the CIA or the FBI, superheroes are sort of trying to show a different way, a better way to be. Whereas your your governments and your mercenaries. They're here to do a job. It's kind of it. Now you can draw inspiration from that, but for the most part, that's sort of it. In my opinion, it's not even a fully formed thought, just like off the top of my dome. But in that story, um, Superman makes a very great speech after he puts the hurt on Manchester Black and his cronies, and we're just going to do that right here.
Good. Dreams save us. Dreams lift us up and transform us into something better. And on my soul, I swear that until my dream of a world where dignity, honor, and justice are the reality we all share, I'll never stop fighting. Ever.
It's a great line because it is shows you what Superman cares more than anything, about the dignity of life, the dignity of people, and that's what he'll fight for. That is what he does every day of his life to do. Even say in the comics, Superman Ground is just him going around helping people out, showing them like, hey, I'm here to help you reach that better path. Here to help you be the best you can be. That's Superman in a nutshell. Then there's, of course, Kingdom Come. Now, Kingdom Come doesn't really directly deal with the concept of Superman killing, but it shows, again, in sort of whatever happened to Truth, Justice, and the American Way, how he feels about the sort of impact that leaves on people. He's a bigger concern about what his actions say to the world around him. So when Joker, yeah, this kind of works. When Joker kills Lois Lane and a bunch of people on the Daily Planet, Superman goes to stop Joker, but Marvin, kills the Joker before Superman can get there. And Superman is sort of disgusted by the fact that public opinion sides with Magog. That yes, Joker should have died. Magog doesn't even get prison time. And I think at the end of the day, Superman wants that accountability. So like, hey, yeah, look, you killed a guy, and you can maybe say you're right, maybe say you were justified in doing it, but that doesn't escape the fact you did something. And really, it goes to a whole question of reasonable force. Was Magog fearful for his life to go for a defense? No, he went down, hunted Joker, and shot him with his magic staff, or whatever that thing is. And that is sort of Superman's problem. So he takes himself off the grid. He get like, you know what, fine, no more Superman. I'm gonna go work on the farm in Kansas, and he does that. That is sort of Superman's response to the concept of not just superheroes killing, but also the world effectively rejecting his worldview and adopting this more violent one. I think there's something to be said about that. Then we come to Superman and the Joker's relationship. Oh, this is oddly more complex than you would think. More interesting too. I don't even think I scratched the surface, but what I read was fun. Emperor Joker, I'm gonna put first because it's more about the Superman Batman Joker dynamic, which was kind of weird. Like it says more about Joker and Batman than it does about Superman. But in the story Emperor Joker, Joker tricks Mxyzptlk into giving him 99% of his power. Weird percentage, but I guess he's not stupid enough to give him all 100%. And Joker effectively, well, he's Emperor Joker. Like, he's warping reality. He's effectively, he creates his own world and whatnot, and everyone's stuck in there. And Superman finds a way to sort of say, like, hey, can you get rid of Batman? I bet you can. Joker's like, I can get rid of Batman. Watch. No more Batman. And Joker's like, wait, if I got rid of Batman, how do I know what Batman is? And he can't do it. He can't get rid of Batman. And Superman's like, so this is you, right? This is all you. This isn't some commentary on how Batman is secretly bigger than DC Comics. No. You can't keep that man off your brain. So even when you have the power to erase him, you can't do it. You can't do it. Oh, he lives rent free in your head. Nutty as a squirrel. Oh, love it. And that's in fact what helps save the day. I tell that because I think it's just hilarious. But even more funny is my personal favorite is the sound of one hand clapping. This is Joker coming to Metropolis with some bombs. Wow, we predicted injustice. And just like trying to he's coming down to sort of, I guess, try his hands at the Man from Krypton, the Man of Steel, the Man of Tomorrow. And Superman's like, hey man, what are you doing? Now, I could probably stop those bombs. And it's a conversation where Joker tries to sort of fling. He oddly enough approaches Superman like he approached Harley in Mad Love. Like, if I give a good enough sob story, if I try to deconstruct my relationship with Batman, he'll bend to my will and I'll break him. I'll break the Man of Steel. Superman is like, I don't get it. Like, you've got some funny jokes, but that's kind of it. It feels like you're just being edgy because you think it's cool. And there's even a moment when Superman goes like, "You sound mad." Like, you mad bro to Joker, and I love every moment of this comic. I don't want to go too much into it, but a really great line is after Superman's kind of like had his fun. Like, you know what? This has stopped being funny for me. He gets the bombs. Like, I got the bombs. Yeah, I just did my thing. And Joker's like, well, I could detonate them now. That's really stupid if you detonate them now. First of all, we're this close. You'll die. I can stop pretty much all the debris from falling on anybody. This building's empty, so I don't get it. Also, and then he pretty much says, like, you know what? I don't have like a rule or a code against killing. I just generally don't kill people. And this is sort of interesting because to me it reminds me of a line from my goat, the 11th Doctor, the idea that good men don't need rules. For Superman, this is just him. Like, I don't need to remind myself not to kill people. He's not as uneven as Batman is, where Batman has all these rules in place to control himself. Superman is just naturally restrained. He just naturally restrains himself. This is who he is. And he says, look, this whole thing doesn't make me better than anybody, but I am better than you. And he tells Joker, like, there's nothing special about you, nothing interesting. Like, what is this? You're a grown man dressed as a clown. Alright? With no job. Okay? Nothing special about you. Any writer can write you. Any actor can play you. There is nothing unique about you. Now get out of my city. Ignoring the fact that Superman just took a shot at Cesar Romero, Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger, Jared Leto, which most of us don't care about, Mark Hamill, and was it Joe DiMaggio? Yeah, Joe DiMaggio. Yeah, Joe DiMaggio. He voiced Joker in Under the Red Hood. And there's probably another one I'm not thinking of. But pretty much those. He's just like, yeah, anyone can do your job. And nothing special about you. And he tells them, get out of my city. And the police come and they get Joker. And then Superman goes down to see Batman. So, you knew he was in Metropolis. Batman's like, yeah, I knew he was in Metropolis. It was a test. And you failed the test. You compromised. Superman's like, shut up. Shut up. Okay? Don't ever send him to Metropolis or let him go to Metropolis. I don't care how you did it. The next time he's in Metropolis, he's not coming back. And I love that. I love that Superman is like, look, I don't know what your whole dynamic is. I don't know what you were trying to prove. But I'm not the one, Bruce. I'm not the GCPD. I don't know what you think says about me if I compromise my ethics and kill a homicidal maniac. But you know what? I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Now, to be fair, when there is a loss, Superman does not handle it well. Okay, usually it's Lois Lane. Whether it be Kingdom Come and the loss of Lois Lane and Magog killing Joker, he goes off the radar. Whether it be Injustice, the death of Lois Lane. God, it's always Lois. The death of Lois Lane becomes the dictator of the regime of Superman. But we also need to remember Justice Lord Superman, who, when Lex becomes president and kills the Flash, Superman kills Lex, and the Justice Lords are born. Pretty much, if you take someone from Superman, he becomes the dictator. Okay? Talk about Grant Morrison. Not all, who wrote such excellent bangers as All-Star Superman. I think a bit overrated as a book, but whatever. Arkham Asylum. I can't get through Arkham Asylum. It's the art. His Batman run is still legendary. Really, really good. He wrote Green Lanterns. He wrote JLA, Animal Man. He wrote the X-Men for a bit too. And there's probably some other stuff I'm not thinking of. Grant Morrison said something that I personally disagree with on critiquing Injustice. But it's more of a critique of, I think, evil Superman as a whole. But Injustice came up the most here. As he says, my mom and dad died, and I didn't turn evil. I'm like, yeah, but it's not what happened. To be fair, again, if it's a critique of evil Superman as a whole and what leads Superman becoming evil, most stories I think are a bit ridiculous for this. Justice Lord Superman, for example, only works if this Superman's logic is you elected Lex Luthor. I kind of have to take over the planet, but that's not what happens. It's the death of Wally West. So let's say Superman kills Lex Luthor, all right, kills the president. Still a problem. Why does the solution then become a dictator? All right. As Morrison points out, the real solution would be that Superman would just go off the radar. If he killed Joker, I think if he killed Joker, or if the whole Lois Lane died, he wouldn't kill the Joker. He would just go off somewhere. And I still disagree with this because of 2 points. One is I think it kind of trivial to undermine Injustice Superman's issues because it's not that Lois Lane died, all right, which we would all feel sympathy for, but also say that's not a reason to become a dictator. In Injustice, Superman is tricked by the Joker into killing his pregnant wife, thereby killing both his wife and his unborn child, and that triggers the destruction of Metropolis courtesy of the Joker and a bomb. So, yes, it is not just a bad day, it is the worst possible day that he could have possibly had. Okay? He has lost his wife, his child, and his city in the span of not even 10 minutes. So I do think that is I think that's a bit of an unfair comparison. And I don't think people ever really fault Superman for killing Joker. Not in that context. And also, and I still think, for example, that in Kingdom Come, this is my 2 cents, my headcanon. It's been a while since I read Kingdom Come, so if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me if if it is mentioned in the book. But I'm pretty sure Superman was going to go kill Joker in Kingdom Come. I'm pretty sure. I think he would have, and he would have retired, just like he did in the actual book. That's my 2 cents on it. But also, I think Morrison's position emphasizes Clark before Superman. And I know we're going to say Clark Kent is Superman, and I would say yes, but Superman is not Clark Kent. Alright, in the same way that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but Batman is not Bruce Wayne. Alright, this whole, the mask is, the face is the real mask. Like, no, it's edgy, it's not that impressive, we've kind of outgrown it for the most part. But Superman is a costume. We tend to think of Kill Bill, like he was born Superman. Like, no, he was born Kal-El of Krypton. Alright, he would have just grown up as a regular Kryptonian person. He'd have never been Superman. But because of events outside of his control, he ends up on Earth, raised by the Kents as Clark Kent. Everything Superman does is pretty much what Clark Kent does. Clark Kent is a real person. Play the clip.
No. Lois, Superman is what I can do. Clark is who I am.
It is Clark Kent. The idea of the person who seems to have all the answers, who just knows exactly what to say, that is Superman. That is not a real person in the conventional sense. Okay? Real Superman does not have a relationship with Lois Lane. Clark Kent does. At the same time, that is sort of the point of Injustice, though. And I think a sort of point to Henry Cavill's Superman. Alright, well, two different things. Cavill's Superman is about going from the Man of Steel to being Superman. That's a whole other story. But in Injustice, the whole point is that Superman breaks, or rather Clark breaks, and he's no longer holding up the same ideals of Superman. And that's kind of the point of Batman in Injustice. He's seeing what Clark has done, like, this is not Superman. And more than anyone, Bruce needs Clark to be Superman. He needs him to be the best of them. Because if he's not there, what does he aspire to be? There's a reason why in most stories Superman is Batman's favorite superhero. Alright? He wants to be like Superman. He wishes he could be like Superman. He wishes he could be like Barry Allen. He wishes he could be these more optimistic and happier and obviously inspiring characters, but he's not in the same way. And so when Superman breaks that agreement, that's why Batman is so heels dug in, like, this is not what you're supposed to do. But again, in Injustice, everyone is holding Superman, and they're holding Clark to the standard of Superman. And I'm saying, it's not fair. It's not fair to expect him to always be on. Batman's like, he'll mourn, he'll grieve, but he'll be fine. I'm like, no, no one comes off of I was tricked into murdering my wife and unborn child. Hercules didn't. Hercules was totally innocent of killing Megara, or Heracles, for the nerds. But he still had to go through the trials, the labors of Heracles. All right. You don't get over being tricked into killing your wife and unborn child. All right? You just don't. If you do, I'm concerned. But anyway, that's sort of it. And of course the idea in the regime that most people are following him because he's Superman. No one thinks like, this is just like Clark's going through it, right? Maybe we shouldn't be like, encouraging this. Maybe we should give him some time to more time to grieve. Maybe build some stuff. Hang out with his parents. He's got parents, right? The Kents? The Kents were like, yeah, he's not well. He's not. Our boy ain't well. All right. But that is sort of it. So ultimately, listing all of this, I'm convinced Superman should not kill the Joker. All right? It's just, it doesn't work. Like, if there's one person that is going to be unbothered by everything he does, it's Superman. It's like, okay, all right, I can stop 99% of what he's going to do. And if he hits that 1%, either one of two things will happen. I will kill him and be fine, or I will kill him and it will be everyone else's problem afterwards. It's one of those two. And they've kind of already done it. They've already did Injustice, already did Kingdom Come, they already did the sound of one hand clapping. We've pretty much covered everything that could happen in a world where Superman kills the Joker. What reason could he do it? Well, there's no reason he would do it under normal circumstances. If Batman asked him, to sort of, has that sort of moment of weakness where we discussed with Wonder Woman, he would just go, no, we'll just put him in the Phantom Zone. Look, I know it sucks, but, we don't want to kill him, so put him in the Phantom Zone. There we go. It apparently happened in the Lego movie, but I'm too pretentious to watch the Lego movie. I know, it's a terrible sin. It's a terrible sin. But it's funny, and I don't watch Batman to laugh. I'm so edgy in the worst way possible. But that's my 2 cents on whether or not Superman should kill the Joker. So, we'll bring this to a close. Who do you think should kill the Joker? We just said Wonder Woman, this is Superman. Remember, the only rule is, well, definitely 2 rules. I know someone's going to probably say it. Has to be in DC. That's the add-on rule. But the primary rule is it can't be Batman. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I'll catch you all later. This is Bucket Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you well.